Continuing with the L4 speed. And washing hubcaps, wheel covers if you'll prefer. This is an example of a very good condition. You see the center emblem has lots of color. And there is a black line in 2 spots for accent. The back of the wheel cover carries a part number. And while we are doing that, we're also spending some time polishing the interior. I'm using the Quick Glow Fine. And you can see I've done up here. You don't want to apply any kind of cleaner to this machining. Maybe they call it damascene, because these marks are not very deep and they will come right off and it will look terrible. So I have horn button handles and working on the other side as well. It should come as no surprise when I open the glove box that it was full of Nebraska dirt. There's my radio knobs coming up, waiting for drying. Step by step, little by little. There's the wax project coming along. The trick about anything like this is to have lots of good light, and that'll make your job so much easier about where you got and where you didn't get. Oh, and under the radio knobs, Nebraska dirt. Okay. Now, one of the ideas is to work on the paint where you're going to have to install the new mirror. You know, the paint on this car is hurting. So, I have these polishes and compound cleaners from Meguiar's. These are probably 15 years old. I just now opened them for the first time. And I'm applying them to this area by hand. And you can see where I've done and where I haven't done. Now the idea would be to get the paint presentable and then figure out where you're going to drill the holes for the mirror and go from there. Well, it's better than it was, and this is just by hand. You know, I don't know about the rest of the car, but conceivably now we could lay out the holes for the mirror and get that installed. I posed the question earlier if there were 2 holes in the door, and the gasket answers that question. This is the gasket that was off of the 66 mirror, but this tells me hole locations and where to drill. So I took painter's tape and I laid out a center line I went and got my dimensions from here to here. That's the mounting stud. This is the hole for the remote control cables. There will be one more hole back here. I dug up the gasket off the other one, cleaned it up, and became my template. The drill bit for the pilot hole. It's a 1/4, and the bigger one is 7/16. Let's see if the damn thing fits. R for red. Very hard to write on these things. Green. See the G under there? Doesn't really look like a G, but that's what it is. And Y, and that's Y for yellow. By the way, Y for yellow, red for R for red, G for green. So you don't really have to do what I did with taping them. I just like to be really sure about some things. And so there's your mirror. There's the remote control connected. And one step completed, more to do. But we're going to leave this for now because we've got a meet in Greenville to go to. Today we're going to freshen up the door handle and window crank. These are off of the 65 300L. And if you can see, the paint has come off, and it really doesn't take much to freshen these up. I use underhood flat black. Really the key is proper masking. And we'll show you how. Well, the first thing we're going to do is clean them up real good. Some alcohol. You don't need to remove the old paint. You just got to get it good and clean so the new paint will bite. Yeah, that's all we're talking about. Once we get these painted and the paint is dry and cure, then I will come back and hit these with wax. You don't want to hit it with wax before you paint, because then you're having to chase the problem of wax. I seem to recall, I think you can buy these new, maybe from Vans, maybe from Murray Park. But I seem to recall, you're still going to have to paint the black. well, these will be just fine to reuse. On we go. The trick for getting a good crisp paint line, see, is if you can roll the edge down into the crease. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that. Of course, this does not have to be perfect. Here's a crank that has been masked. You see how I've rolled the tape slightly in there? There's a little section there that I didn't quite get. But if you notice it later on, you can always take a sharp knife. But it doesn't have to be perfect. Now I will play these with some heat to get the handle warm. The paint dries faster and it sticks better. Here is the handle done. Back to work. I also like to get the contents of the can warm. It increases the pressure inside the can for a better distribution, and it also does better mixing. So this is how I do it. I suppose if you were crazy and you kept the heat on too long, you could blow up the can and cause yourself problems. So work smart, you know, come on. I will also play the heat on the handles. Paint sticks better to a warm surface than it does a cold. We're not talking hot, just warm. Now the trick will be light coats from different directions. Make sure you're working in good light. Then you can see that the paint is filling. Ta-da! Put it aside, let it dry. So how hot do you get the can? Well, when you feel up here that the contents are getting warm, then you've got it warm enough. You get the idea. Aha! I was right. I think I probably got that from Vans. Anyway, it's $30 a piece in 21. Insert is painted. So I was right, you can get new handles, and apparently I did paint some and put them in stock, and then forgot about them. And here we go. I will let the paint cure and hit the rest of it with some of the wax and polish and install. Moving on. So these are the two that I just painted this morning. These are the two from yesterday. The paint's cured on these, so I will polish them, wax them, and install them. Minor correction, I did check. If you buy the new handles, they do come painted. It isn't the best paint job, but you know, it's a door handle. So we're gonna leave the driver's door now. The mirror is on. I did this with the McGuire's. You can see the difference between there's your door panel and the door handles and the mirror all set. Moving now over to the passenger door.